Hi, everybody. Welcome to the MC Squared podcast. My name is Andrew McNeil, and I am joined, as always, with my co-host, Jimmy McKenna.
That's right.
Well, this is one of our summer episodes, I guess. It's a little warm in here.
It is. I'm glistening already.
Yeah, well, I'm always glistening.
It's actually indoors, too.
I don't need any more shininess off of my forehead that just keeps on going.
It's all good. I just gave up.
Yeah, I did too. Anyway, so we've got a jam-packed show for you guys today, tonight, / whenever you're watching, listening to this. So many things gone on in the news. So much is happening politically. So much is happening in our nation. We are really not having a slow period. Sometimes it feels like during the summer, news-wise, things kind of slow down. And it's not the case. Yeah. Absolutely not the case. So it's been a while since we've had a podcast, and it has a lot has gone on, and it's been a while since we've actually talked politics or talked government, because the last podcast, which was very well received, about the Fight Club, and if you haven't seen that, please go back. Watch the episode 25, Christian Fight Club ? And our friend Lee Anstead. We had a great time with him. Yeah. He's gotten a lot of good feedback, and it's just doing some great work. Which, by the way, they just had a graduation this week.
Oh, that's a big deal.
So that was awesome. Pretty cool. While we're getting ready to get started, if you're watching on YouTube, please go and subscribe. Hit the subscribe button.
Yeah.
We have a lot of viewers and not as many subscribers, so I know you're watching and you might not be subscribed. So go find the subscribe button, hit the subscribe button and the like button. We really, really appreciate it. It means a lot to us. It does help the podcast grow, and it doesn't cost you a thing.
It doesn't at all. And if you want to be notified, you can hit the notification button too.
Yeah.
But I mean, just subscribing really helps us. And that actually, from a podcast aspect, it kind of drives us more.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody, if you have more of an audience, you're going to start, getting
bringing your A game instead of our B or C.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
The A game, yeah. We should have brought the A game today, but no, we appreciate it. I mean, if you have gleaned anything from anything that we've said or had, just, or you want to support some local guys. You're from Terre Haute, Indiana. Yep. You're a Hoosier. Just hit that subscribe. That'd be awesome. And just keep following us. So
absolutely. All right. So what do we want to tackle first? Do we want to jump right into the Trump conviction? We've got a Trump tax proposal that came out today. I thought was pretty exciting.
Let's talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah. The conviction.
Yeah. So it came out today, but it was actually, I guess, discussed possibly yesterday evening in a Republican conference, the big conference that we're having. Trump was a part of it, obviously, and he proposed eliminating income taxes, federal income taxes in the United States, and he would supplement or use tariffs as a substitute. And what's interesting to me about this, being a student of history, is that this is actually the way the country was founded. That is exactly how we were set up tax-wise. The only way the federal government could raise taxes was tariffs, and the president had that ability to do it. It goes back to, I think there was Jefferson imposed tariffs, and there were some other presidents that did it. It's an interesting thing because the concept, and this is something Rush used to talk about always, with unintended consequences from government policy. Whatever they decide to do, I mean, this is just as a rule. Whoever they're trying to help, and whoever they're trying to punish, doesn't matter. It usually works the opposite, and it usually doesn't work ever like they think it's going to. So tariffs theoretically are supposed to take the money from foreign companies who are trying to sell to Americans. So, like Trump did a tariff on Chinese imports. There was a tariff for a while on steel imports, and all of that is intended to help American industry. So, if America's producing steel, then you put a tariff on foreign steel. So, you're hoping that your steel companies will prosper in America. Well, that is the theory, and what actually happens every single time is it's actually, and again, I'm 100% for this proposal, but it is it is a tax on the American people. And why do you think that is?
Because we buy things.
Yes.
I mean, that's the
Yes.
whole reason.
So who is hurt if your imported item is more expensive? It isn't. It
the
isn't.
buyer.
Yes, it's
gonna be more
us.
expensive.
And it's always a tax on us. But we have a choice. It's basically a sales tax. It works out to be a sales tax. And it's a choice. We have a choice. We know that this item's going to cost more because of the tax. We don't have to buy it. We can buy it. We don't have to buy it. With an income tax, you are working your rear end off. Mm-hmm. You are earning a salary, a wage, tips, whatever it is. You've worked for it. The government hasn't worked for it. It hasn't done anything for it. And it's taking 40% of your paycheck. And you have no choice. In fact, if you decide that you are not going to send them the money, they will come and take everything you own and garnish your wages for future repayment. So I like it.
So, okay, so explain this to me. I guess this might be a little bit more deep, but so the tariff would be on any imports. So then companies would be paying a lot of tariff because if they had some type of material that was off out, they would have to pay more.
Exactly.
So even if it was a U.S. company, then everything across the board, let's say our bag of Cheetos,
right?
Okay, is going to go up for everybody.
Yes.
Now, but everybody is going to not have the income tax, so they're going to have more money in their pocket.
Correct.
But everything else is going to go up, everything in cost.
Yes.
Except if you produce it yourself, like if you are.
Yeah. So theoretically, your steel producers, when they have a tariff on foreign steel, theoretically your steel producers will make more money. But you know what happens because this is all market driven. Supply and demand.
Yeah, it is.
So if you are a steel producer and your competitor is forced to raise their prices,
yes,
what are you going to do?
You're going to do better.
You're going to raise your prices.
You're right, because you're going to raise your prices right under them.
Absolutely.
Barely under.
So it always comes back to the American people will pay more. It's not tariffs, not necessarily a great long-term solution. Getting rid of the income tax is absolutely phenomenal, and it is a conservative idea that the Republican Party long abandoned. But Ronald Reagan would have been for this. This is conservatism 101. The income tax, do you know the history of the income tax?
I don't.
Oh, gosh. So back in the turn of the 20th century, I feel like this was like 1917-ish. I think that's when the income tax, and we had to pass an amendment to allow it. Mm-hmm. And again, I didn't do my homework, so I don't know the exact amendment, but this was at the same time that they removed the election of senators by your state legislator, and they turned it to be a populist vote. So that sounds like a great idea, but it was actually a way of reducing the authority and power of the state, which is what the Constitution, what our republic is built on. Anyway, so they instituted an income tax, and the argument, it was big controversy at the time, but the argument was, for heaven's sakes, people, the government will never take more than like a 9%. I mean, 9% is probably ridiculous, but it would never go as high as what God requires, which is 10%. Oh. So we will always, as the government, be below. I mean, that was literally the thing. And of course, the government was lying, like they always are. And we have seen absolute confiscation of American wages, and the American wage. The power of the American dollar in the pocket of the working man has just depleted ever since that time. So I am 100% for getting rid of the income tax.
So tell me how this affects. Just if we look downstream, Joe Smith, and he makes $35,000 a year.
Yeah.
Okay. And he's got a family, and let's say his wife stays at home. So 35, that's very. I mean, that's right. That's
Okay,
but let's compare that to Bobby, who's making $350,000 a year.
So this is where when the rubber meets the road. This is where the class warfare that has already been propagated in America, the Marxists have taken over our economic thought process here, would go wild. And this is the real battle. What you hit on is exactly the real battle, because the truth is a guy making $35,000 a year with 4 kids at home isn't paying any federal taxes.
Okay. Yeah.
So he sees no change to his income. The guy making $200,000, he's got 2 kids, is going to see his income probably 40% increase in his income, in his take-home income. You're going to have to sell the American people on what it will do for our economy. It will explode it. We will see prosperity like you have never seen if we got rid of the income tax.
But how it's going to be spun is what it's going to do for rich people.
Yeah, it's going to help the rich person.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's absolutely not fair, right? Why should we be taking more money from somebody who's producing? I have no idea, but that's the world we live in. So I think the political reality might be tough, but it is the fair, proper, and best economic solution we could possibly have, is to get rid of the income tax and also get rid of property taxes. I hate property taxes. It's confiscation of land that you own.
I don't you think this should be some type of incremental thing where they do one and see how it works and then do another?
Well, we know there's already states with no income taxes, and they prosper. Florida, Texas, there may be a couple others.
They have no income tax in Florida.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They have property tax, though.
Well, I think everybody has property tax. Everybody loves that idea of property tax. They love the idea of redistributing that wealth, because that's what it is. Yeah. You have these farmers that have accumulated 1,000 acres, and it's difficult because they own so much land. The government sees them as filthy rich, which they're not. Same thing with large houses, handing down an inheritance to your kids, or any of those things. The government is looking to basically take money where it has no business taking money. So, and it's all in an effort to kind of level the playing field, but it's actually just expand the misery for everybody. Yeah, that's all it does.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyway, I think it's a great idea. I think it's a conservative idea. I think it makes sense, and I think it'll be well received. Whether it actually happens, highly unlikely. I don't think it'll go.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
But anyway,
yeah. Okay, so let's talk about the Trump conviction. What did you think? Were you there? When did you hear?
I wasn't there.
You weren't there.
I haven't watched it much. I'll be honest.
When you found out about it, when was that?
I don't know. I've heard a little bit about it, but I've not been super involved with it. I don't. Like I said, man, I don't get super worked up about.
Well, that's good.
I'll give you. I heard a little bit about it, so I've got a little bit of a take, and I'm just going to throw it out. And I think it has a lot to do with my area too of medicine, as I think that there are so many strongholds in this country that we believe as truths, and many of them are being exposed. And I'll start with medicine and what happened in 2020. So I think there's a ton of exposure there, and I think that there's a lot of smoke and mirrors that are there that have been exposed, and I think that our judicial system is also the exact same way. I think that there's these things that we think that we hold to that are going to be truthful, that are going to be whatever, and we can trust.
Yeah.
And they're broken, and I actually and I hate to say this, but I mean, I think we should have our trust in one thing, and it's just being exposed more.
Yeah. Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. That's a great take, because the reality is they didn't deal any serious damage to Donald Trump.
No.
They dealt maybe fatal damage to the trust of the American people in their judicial system.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it became crystal clear throughout the trial, if you were paying attention to any of the details that came out. Not only was it completely compromised and completely rigged and completely set up, the charges themselves, all of it was just, it was out of the pages of the communists in Soviet Russia when they would have these show trials. It was literally out of those books. I mean, it was, and so when the verdict was reached immediately, which was ridiculous, and convicted on all counts and just, 34 counts, whatever. I think initially at the time I was way more angry than I thought I would be. I was actually very angry, and very concerned for my country. I felt deeply disturbed about where we were heading as a country in more than I was before. But since then, because it's been a little while, I mean, obviously folks are watching this, it's going to have been, maybe a month since it happened. In retrospect, I have to say, I have seen what appears to be a tidal wave of opinion shift, not just towards Trump, but against the erosion of what was America. We used to be able to count on, even if you had every once in a while a corrupt judge or a judge that got it wrong or a jury that got it wrong, you could depend on, well, they're going to get it right because there's enough good, law-abiding, God-fearing people in the judicial system who will make a decision not based on politics or whether they like the man, but on legal precedent and what's good for the defendant and what's good for the country and what's right, what's lawful. And I don't think we believe that is going to be the case anymore. I mean, again, I hate to beat a dead horse, but the proof of a stolen election in 2020 is still coming out. It was overwhelming, and not a single judge would touch it with a 10-foot pole. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was our recourse, that the judicial system would review it, would take a look at it. No, it wasn't going to happen. So Trump raised, I think, $100 million in 48 hours. He had massive amount of new donors that poured in. I have heard so many movie stars, people that we, models. I mean, just, all kinds of secular people, folks that have had nothing to do with politics, saying we've had it. We are going to support Donald Trump. And I didn't support him before. I don't even like him, but this cannot stand. You had the Dr. Phil interview just shortly afterwards, and that was phenomenal. I watched parts of it, some excerpts of it, but it was when Dr. Phil talked about that they were banned off of TikTok because they tried to do a promo for the show, and they wouldn't allow it because Donald Trump was in it. That there was a gasp in the audience, and then people began to have, I think, almost the blinders coming off their eyes to realize we are not being allowed to know what is happening here. And that cannot be. It has nothing to do with whether Donald Trump, and here's the dumb thing, Jimmy. Look at the politics of Donald Trump, and they are actually not very radical.
No, yeah.
They aren't. I mean, he's like, obey the laws. We already have immigration laws on the books. Shut the border, like what our law says to do. I mean, he isn't rewriting new laws. It's just literally upholding them. Make America great again. Well, that's a radical, idea. Whoever wants their nation to be great?
Inflammatory statement.
Oh, my gosh. So his actual politics are not radical, but he's not purchased or a part of the establishment. And that's what terrifies them.
Yeah.
So I think we should talk about, what do you think is going to happen? Because there's a lot of folks that are right now saying, Biden's at a 37% approval rating. The momentum is all Donald Trump. It is all Donald Trump. It does not matter what the secular media has done. He is picking up steam everywhere he goes. He's going to win in a landslide. Do you think he's going to win in a landslide?
Well, I think he won a landslide in the previous election, personally. So,
so that got stolen. So what changed? What has changed since then?
Well, unfortunately, nothing has changed.
Yeah.
And I believe that our election system was also one of those strongholds that we held to, that no, this will be figured out in the election system.
Yeah.
And that was kind of one of the first things to break. Well, I mean, the medical system broke, the election system broke.
Yeah.
I mean, in the last 4 years, think about all the distrust now that's slowly seeping out of these strongholds that we have seen as like, these are truths in our country.
Institutions.
These are institutions in our country. I heard an interesting, and he went in a landslide.
Yeah, he should.
Yes. So, but I heard an interesting thing, and I'm actually taking it from somebody that I heard say this, but it's really interesting that every time the enemy comes at harder, they get penalized or they get pushed down even more.
Right.
The stronger the attacks get, the greater the enemy is losing. And so I heard this from Johnny Enlow, and he actually related it back to Pharaoh. Mm-hmm. I mean, you probably heard this. I'm sure you probably heard this analogy before.
Not. Well,
but it's, when Moses says, let the people go.
Yeah.
And every time he said, oh yeah, I'm going to do this, and didn't.
Yeah.
It got worse.
Yep.
And it got worse.
Yes.
And it got worse, and it got worse. And now, that looks really familiar to what's going on now.
Yeah.
I mean, everything seems like the next attack and it gets worse. But when do they get to go, and will we be a part of that?
Right.
That's what I want to be a part of.
Well, think about it for a minute. So you've got in Egypt, and you've got the children of Israel. So you've got the people who are captive, and you have the government or the leadership that are the oppressors.
Yeah.
And God's dealing with the oppressors in that story.
Yeah.
I think it's very similar here. I honestly believe, and this may be news for somebody here, and this I think this is a really important and good point. It is not, and it hasn't been for a while, about Democrat versus Republican. Yeah. It is about elitists, and it is about the people. Those are actually the battle lines, and that's why you see a lot of Republican leaders that are angry, and they don't like that Donald Trump's popular.
That's right.
They don't like it when we go off the reservation. And I mean, they are totally, if he wins in a landslide, he wins the House and he wins the Senate, and he proposes that the income tax, it will be Republicans that sabotage it.
Yeah.
It won't be Democrats. Democrats are unfortunately, I mean, don't like it. I don't agree with that they stand, but they're extremely principled. They're Marxists. And if it isn't Marxism, they're not voting for it. I mean, you know what they're going to do. Republicans act like and talk like they're conservative, but they are not. Generally, the ones in power are for them staying in power.
Yeah, self-perpetuating.
And any time that looks like the masses are waking up and starting to, figure out something's not right, we've been electing these same people over and over again, and nothing is getting done.
Yeah.
Nothing they're mad. They're mad about this and they're mad about that, and they don't do anything about it. We're just being fooled. And I do believe the positive side of this is that God has used Donald Trump to wake us up. And what I saw happen after that verdict of 34 counts was an awakening of people that have said, I don't like politics. I'm sick of all of them, blah, 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 blah. I saw something switch where there was almost the attitude of, yeah, but this is our country, and no politician is going to destroy it. No judge is going to destroy it. No entertainment industry is going to destroy it. Mm-hmm. No false election is going to destroy it. We have got to stand up. And I do believe this, that we have one chance, Jimmy, to get this right. It is this time. Now, I don't know whether Donald Trump will win. And the reason I say that is because they hate him so bad, and they don't want him to win so badly. They're trying to throw him in jail, in prison. They're going to do everything they can. They will absolutely try to kill him. They absolutely will. His life is protected by the Lord, and if anything happens to him, it will be because the Lord allowed it. Whatever is happening with Donald Trump, he is a tool, and people need to understand this. He is a tool in the hand of God, and that makes You know who that makes mad? Generally Christians.
Yeah, oh yeah, I know.
The secular people, the people that are rising up, maybe they don't even go to church. They see that and they go, yeah, absolutely. It looks that way. I can totally see that. Yeah. The church goes, how dare you say that he's a tool in the hand of God? Well, he is. And he's exposing, and God is using him. So is he going to be swept into the White House? He should be. And if he is not, I mean, you will see great turbulence. A lot of things will happen. If he wins, you're going to see probably a civil war, because the ones who riot, the folks who burn cities down, that's the left. And when the left doesn't get their way, they go crazy and they go revolutionary and they don't care about law. And you have enough judges that'll look the other way. And so I think that we are setting ourselves up for a battle for the country, a battle for the nation. And you and I know this. We have prayed for a long time that God would have mercy on America. We have. And I remember growing up as a kid, attending Washington for Jesus, I think it was 88, and being on the Washington Mall as a kid and prayed all night. It was a 24-hour prayer group. It was 1 million Christians gathered on the mall, praying for America, praying for revival. President Ronald Reagan at the time gave a videotaped message. It was just, it's just an awesome thing. I've been a part of praying for America. God have mercy on America. He has sent us, not just Donald Trump, but we are in a generational shift and change right now. And we are joining in battle, and people don't need to wake up. We are having this right now. What do you need to do? You need to pray. You need to get your life right. We've talked about this before. Yeah. You need to get informed. You don't need to get down in the dumps or go down every rabbit hole. You don't need to know every evil, wicked thing that's going on out there. Just understand it is wicked and evil, and they are trying to destroy us. But God is on the case. He is fighting. He is using Donald Trump, and God has something yet to be said about what is happening here. Mm-hmm. And that's what I want to be a part of, and that's what I want to see. It. And even if Donald Trump does not win, I'm telling you the kingdom of God in America is going to advance.
It will. Yeah, that's no doubt. That's no doubt.
Anyway, that's my 2 cents.
So let me take you back. So you've said a couple good things through there. So this is something I've said for a long time, and I know it's a little bit controversial, but I really think that if you're going in and you're voting and you're going and picking a straight ticket, I think it's lazy. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry. Just as Andrew just said, I mean, you have to pick the right man, the right woman for the job. And there are rights and wrongs on both sides. And I think that's really important. Now, that was very early on in what you were talking about, but I feel like it's really important to say is that you need to get educated and make the decision, and don't just pick a straight ticket, because I really think I feel like it's a lazy thing to do. But here's the thing. I fully believe exactly what you said, and I think, and I'm excited for that. I'm excited for that day when God really shows what he wants done here.
Yeah, well, I think he's doing it now to an extent. And that's the thing. Are we paying attention? Because when Donald Trump came around the first time, God was moved. I mean, I am not deifying Donald Trump. He is I hope he's a Christian. He may not even be a Christian. I know he says Christian things at times, but he also cusses, and he's had a sordid past. I'm not lifting him up to the place of saying he's so holy, God is using him. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying he is a vessel that God has specifically raised up right now. In the Bible, this is the thing. These Christians that are all been out of shape need to start reading their Bibles. That's right. What are all these champions that God raised up for the time of the judges? Samson was a womanizer. And God used him, raised him up, and anointed him. The Holy Spirit came upon him, and he would tear the Philistines, physically. Mm-hmm. I mean, these are all of the heroes of the Bible. We're all flawed people.
We're all flawed, yes.
And so, we can have that discussion at another time, but God is moving. sometimes we really don't like what we see when he does move. Because the Bible says there's darkness and wind and clouds and things that precede the movement of the Lord. I mean, when God moves, it's not always, roses and peaches and I mean, it's true. And so, I mean, the Lord, in my opinion, my humble opinion, I believe the Lord moved during the Civil War period. I believe from the crying out of all of the slavery and the slaves that cried out and also the Christians that cried out, Lord, deliver this country from slavery. God moved. He powerfully moved. We lost 500,000 men in that war. It was a horrific rending of the country, but it was the move of God. We don't like that. But I think we're coming into another period. I'm not saying we're going to lose that many people or that kind of a thing, but I am saying it may not be a bunch of tent meetings and we're all singing Kumbaya. There may be some fire that we have to go through to save the country and to save the souls of this country. And that's the thing. We're a platform from the kingdom of God around the world, and we have ceased becoming that. And I don't think God's going to allow us to continue to speak out. I mean, we put the gay flag and the pride flag on every embassy in every country. We are sending that out as our gospel message now is homosexuality and sexual perversion. That is the message of America. If you ask other nations now, that God is not going to allow that to continue. Yeah. We've said a lot here in a short period of time.
Yeah, you got really worked up.
Yeah, I know.
But I like it.
Well, it's been a month, so there we go. All right, so let's change real quick. Let's talk a light subject here. The Terre Haute flag. Have you seen it?
Yes, I have.
Okay. What's your thoughts?
All right, so
did you know we had a city flag?
I knew they were working on it. Yeah.
I didn't even know we had a city flag. I kind of knew they were
working on it. We had a city flag before. It was very generic. It was white, said some things on it.
Oh, really?
Remember? And then Terre Haute had a logo for a while, a level above.
Yeah, but that's not the flag. They did a flag. It was like the
the logo. I know, but anyway, honestly, I like the colors of the flag.
Yeah, it's blue and
gold.
Gold, and it's got a okay.
I mean, nobody's gonna. Besides the Terre Haute,
here's the problem.
It's got a sycamore leaf on it.
Yeah, but
there's not a stem on the leaf, which kind of I don't like.
Problem.
What is it?
The first thing that came to my mind when I saw it, and it is what I've seen in comments over and over again. It looks like a Canadian flag. It looks like we are under Canada. Now, I get all the pieces. It's the sycamore leaf. It's the stars around it, or that's how many states there were at the time of Indiana. I mean, and the blue is the Wabash River, which is a really funny one because the Wabash River hasn't been blue in 100 years. But I get it, and I don't care. I mean, does anybody care that much?
Well, honestly, Andrew,
but they had controversy over it.
Well, who did?
Well, parts of Brandon Sackman's administration got up to protest it being accepted.
Yeah, but here's the whole thing. This is what we have to realize.
Yeah,
like
some people have nothing else to do.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, honestly, we follow Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Okay, and we're pretty serious about that.
Yeah.
Right? And that actually is a path that we're on, that we grow in and we grow in. If we didn't have that, no, I'm serious.
We might get sidetracked on a flag.
Oh my gosh, I would. I bet you would be fired up about a flag. You'd be up there in the front if you didn't have.
Hey, we know Canadians.
You would be mad about it.
I would.
I'm telling you, it's.
Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord. You've got the Lord.
It does look like a Canadian flag, though.
It does.
I mean, and that's the thing. Nobody outside of Terre Haute is going to understand that that's a college logo, in my opinion. And
college logo.
ISU, right?
Oh, for the Sycamores, yeah.
But why would you do that? I mean, you got. I mean, okay, You got St. Mary of the Woods, you got Ivy Tech, you've got Rose-Hulman. They're all in Vigo County. Why are you putting the Sycamores as the center of there? First of all. And second of all, they're not the center of our community. I love ISU. That's fine.
Yeah.
But Terre Haute's the center of this community, not a college. That
I think they should have. I think we really should have.
Are we a college flag? Is that the college flag?
Why don't we play off the name? High ground.
Yeah,
why don't we play off of high ground? I don't understand. Because a French person sees Terre Haute, high ground. I mean, that's we just call it Terre Haute. You know, when you try to tell somebody where you live, they say you live in Terre Haute. But
that's kind of funny.
Why don't we play it off a high ground and do it? I mean,
I know. Yeah.
I don't know. I
didn't even know we had a city flag. Honestly,
it'll fly in front of the courthouse.
No one will care. No one cares.
Well, the next revolutionary will change it.
It does kind of look like Canada conquered Terre Haute. I'm sorry. It's just
French.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny.
Well, yeah.
Anyway. Okay. So let's see. Hey, Andrea and I are delegates, and we are going to the convention this Saturday.
I bet I know who you're voting for.
Yes. So when this airs, and I will talk about that. So when this airs, we will have already voted, and everyone will already know. So Andrea and I are going to vote for Micah Beckwith. He has been running for the lieutenant, and it's the only race that is contested. It's the only issue you go there for at this point. And I am grateful he's running, if for nothing else, to give you purpose for going.
Yeah.
We had to pay $150 a person to go. And I didn't realize that when I put my name on the ballot. So I might have reconsidered that. But maybe God's got a purpose in it. I hope he does. So Micah Beckwith, pastor in Noblesville area, I believe, running. He's a Christian activist. I've heard him speak. He's excellent. He's like a honestly kind of a Reagan conservative. He's just a very solid conservative, pro-family, just a great guy, very articulate. So he's been running for lieutenant governor because the way it's always worked in the past is that the governor who wins, the candidate who wins in the primary to run for governor for the state of Indiana, then after they win the primary, then gets to, quote, pick their choice for lieutenant governor. There's generally zero controversy. There's zero competition, and the convention is basically just a rubber stamp that. That's the way it's always been. That's not the rules. And so he took advantage of that, and I think there was a lot of challenge to maybe they're going to change the rules to keep him out, and eventually they decided not to. And the reality is, this is a fight between establishment and not necessarily an anti-Braun thing. This is a fight between, we're tired of always having these candidates shoved down our throats, and the establishment wants control. They want to tell us who to vote for, and that's it. And so we have a choice, and they're upset about it. So fine. So he nominated Julie McGuire, and Julie's got an interesting history and story. And
so this is who's going against
This
Micah.
is who Mike Braun picked for lieutenant governor, and this is who's been sending. I got 30 postcards at my house the other day, all at the same time, of all these politicians that look like they're, I mean, I'm in the printing world. I know how this works, but it looks like handwriting on that. Yeah, it's not, but whatever. It's all these folks, and they're all endorsing her, and she's great, and we should all get on board. Mm-hmm. Well, she may be a great person. I don't know. I don't know her well, but I will tell you this. She doesn't have a very long resume at all. She's been a state rep for one term, and she was the lady that the establishment Republican House here in Indiana poured $500,000 into her campaign to beat a Democrat? No, to beat another Republican because they didn't like how radical he was on abortion.
Oh, I know this one.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we've
talked about him before.
She's from the Greenwood area. And again, I'm not on board with necessarily his tactics, the former state rep, and I can't remember his name offhand. But that was odious to me. The fact that they spent $500,000 to defeat somebody in their own party that they thought was just a little too radical. I'm sorry, the Indiana Republicans, the conservatives, they kind of need radical because they're not radical. And they're in power. They have super majorities in both chambers. Yeah. They really kind of need some people that are going to push them to the right.
Yeah.
So I didn't like that at all. I didn't like how that was handled. So that's her. That's who he's picked.
Kind of sounds like she's the establishment.
Well,
pick.
It does.
They put a bunch of money into her.
Yep.
It sounds like she's pretty indebted to them.
Well, yeah. $500,000.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So it's Mike Braun, Julie McGuire. We're supposed to all stand up and go and vote for her, which we are not. I think she still wins because I think the establishment has the numbers. If I go with my gut,
convention,
I don't think Micah wins. I don't.
You mean at the convention they hold the numbers?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. But I could be wrong.
Because
we got Diego Morales against the establishment last time. We got Daniel Elliott against the establishment last time. Those two candidates were the establishment did not want them, fought them, didn't want them at all. They squeaked by, but both of them won. Now, in fairness, Diego won pretty handily, and that was a multiple factors. Both of them now have come out and endorsed Julie. So you're like, okay,
really?
So you're an anti-establishment. The base supports you, and then you turn around and you endorse the establishment candidate. I feel like anybody that gets in there, it's just always they get turned. But
yeah, that's
whatever.
too bad.
Yeah, so that should be exciting. So the next podcast we'll maybe talk about that. Maybe something will happen. I don't know.
So
maybe
they do like an oral vote, like yay, and then there will be a real vote.
Oh yeah, we go into booths.
You're going to be boothing it because it's going to be that close.
Yeah,
okay.
Yep. So it's an all day thing, and we have to get up at 6:30 in the morning to make it up there on Saturday. And I don't think the vote for that position is going to take place till about 3:30.
And this is this coming Saturday?
Yeah.
The day before Father's Day.
Yeah, isn't that great? Mm-hmm. Well, actually, I kind of enjoy that, but I will say this. I probably shouldn't say this on air, but I'm going to. I have gotten so, and let's talk about sports here in a minute. But I have gotten so not disillusioned. I'm just so done with politics, and I know I ran for office twice. And I know about it. I care about it to a certain extent. I'm always going to vote. I'm always going to be informed.
Yes.
But, Jimmy, I'm fed up with the Republicans in this state. I just feel like they're
Andrew, welcome.
Yeah,
welcome to the team now.
We're going to do a podcast, and I'm going to talk about the spiritual forces behind the two political parties. And I know I've mentioned this before, but I think we need to talk about it again because it will explain why I have an issue with the Republicans and why I have an issue, obviously, with the Democrats. But the Democrats are at least, they're at least out there. I mean, whatever. Let's move on.
Oh, yeah, I know where you're going with that.
Let's move on.
I know where you're going with that one.
All right. Okay, so your boy Tom Brady gave a speech.
This is not my boy.
I thought you were a Patriot fan.
Everybody knows better.
Okay, it might have been me.
Indiana obsessed with Tom Brady.
No, I am a New England Patriot fan. Tom Brady just happened to lead us to greatness over and over and over and over again.
Lead us like you're on the team or something.
You know what? People, that is the one comment that people got really mad at when I say we, when I talk about the Patriots.
No.
And it's like, you're not on the team. You have nothing to do. But every real sports fan understands that, right? Am I off on that?
I've never thought I was on the Cubs 2016 team.
But if I'm talking to you, so Cubs is a big deal to you.
Yeah.
So if I'm talking to you about the Cubs and you're telling me you're not going to say, well, our lineup, the way our lineup was.
I'll say the Cubs lineup.
You'll say the Cubs lineup wasn't good. You'll say not our manager, the manager.
No, because I have no ability to change the lineup.
Okay. All right. So we're going to have to wrap up shortly. I'm getting the notice, but I still want to talk about Tom Brady. So
I think we're out of time for Tom Brady.
Yeah, I'm sure you are.
Let's go on to Caitlin Clark.
Yeah. Okay, so Tom, this is all I'm going to say about Tom Brady. Go look at it. It was a speech for Hall of Fame for the Patriots, not the actual Hall of Fame, which of course he'll be first ballot when that happens. But anyway, it was a great line about working hard and how kids need to play football just because it's hard and life is hard. Get prepared for it. And I thought it was pretty inspirational. I thought it was great. So go look it up if you care. Caitlin Clark, man, that's an Indiana story that is national right now.
Yeah, it's unfortunately, I watched a couple videos of her playing, and now my entire feed is full of WNBA. And I have no stock in the WNBA, but it's really hard to let this go. It's just like a soap opera, and they're loving it because I think what were they? I mean, the first 9 games, how many of them sold out?
Yeah,
The
and
Fever?
she's the real deal. She's really good. She's the real deal. She's the reason why the ticket sales are up and viewership is up. And they have treated her like trash, and it is. I mean, it's bad. It's not just on the court, which has been bad, but they snubbed her from the Olympic team, which is hilarious because nobody. I mean, it's business 101, and they don't care because they don't like her because she's white. She's not a lesbian.
I don't know that
and
this
she's
is
good.
true.
No,
I
this
don't
is
think
absolutely
this is
true.
true.
The
I don't think
WNBA is
because
completely
No,
run
okay.
by DEI. Completely.
Okay, maybe.
No, it's completely.
But
true.
here's the deal.
Yeah.
The better storyline
Mm-hmm.
is it's not all of that. But if they get behind her,
They're not going to.
but if they did, they wouldn't sell tickets and they wouldn't have people's feed going the way mine is going. It's making news.
What, that she's being treated poorly, or that
Yes,
she's
absolutely. No,
that's going to get old real fast.
No, it won't because people keep watching. It's like a soap opera. They keep sucking them
for a little while.
But
that's not why they're doing it. I mean, you got to be kidding.
No,
Called her the B word, ran up and slammed her to the ground,
I
and
bet
it was
they
no.
do that.
It was like
But I bet they do that to all. I bet they
no,
do it to all
they
of them.
don't. They don't.
Are you telling me
Yeah.
that you got those women there and they don't do that to each other? All highly competitive.
Women are the nastiest to each other. That is true.
Well, I'm just saying that it's getting a lot of. She's coming in as being this, and she's tough, right? But she's coming in like she's getting picked on.
She is, though. I mean, I sit there and
But
watch
I bet
her.
they
I
all
watched
get
her first
picked on.
game.
I
When
mean, they all probably get hazed initially.
yeah, there's certainly
And
going to
she's
be an element of that.
She's-
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, her dad did. Her dad was in the crowd one time,
yeah.
and he told her to stop being a baby.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean, stop
she's-
whining.
She's going to have to, but and I mean, I remember Michael Jordan. Just for comparison, I mean, the Knicks beat up on him constantly. They went right after him all the time. Didn't matter. They were going to take him out. So there is some flattery, I guess, the fact that she's getting that attention. But I think as a league, they've got to fix this. Nobody wants to see her treated with kid gloves, and nobody wants to see her injured to the point she can't play. That's what's happening.
They stopped doing that to her. Nobody's watching the WNBA again.
Well, they will if she scores 50 points. And that's what will happen.
I don't know.
She's really good.
I think that this sells more tickets than her scoring 50 points.
I'm not going
She's
to see
not
her
gonna
get beat
score
up.
50 points.
I have to be honest. We had a great
You're not
time
gonna go
going.
anyway.
We had a great time going. I've never seen. It's super cheap. Do you know how cheap it is to go to a WNBA game? If you go to
Did you go to Fever?
Yes, I went to the game. It's like
To see
$2.
See Kayla?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, well, she's really good, but they don't use her right. It's pretty. It's pretty stark.
I mean, Andrew, they're like, what, 15 games in?
Yeah.
She came hot out of college. Like,
Yeah.
turn around. Here, you're now playing with the big girls.
They're not that good. They're the worst. The Indiana Fever is one of the worst teams in the league. Well, that's why they got the number one pick. They've gotten the number one pick 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
That tells you. I mean, and
They're better.
and
They're way better basketball
headed
than I am.
They are headed to pick the number one pick again. I mean, it's probably coaching. I don't know.
When's the Patriots get the number one pick? Weren't they pretty bad last year?
No, they were bad. They got a number 3, and I will tell you this too. I'm a Patriot fan, and our head coach, I'm going to make a prediction right now. He's going to train wreck this team. He is DEI all over. It is really pathetic, and it is disturbing to watch. He was a great Patriot player. I think he's a great player, and I've heard nothing but whining and racist kind of attitude out of
DEI?
him.
You've used it twice already.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Okay.
It's where you aren't hiring basis on merit. You're hiring basis on what victim status are you, and we want to bring as much victim status people in. That's how we hire. That's how we do. That's our our thing. Not merit based. Okay,
I'm not going into that one.
We have gone long enough. We'll do a whole podcast on that sometime. Sure,
No, we
that'll be
won't.
exciting.
No, we
That'll be
won't.
so exciting.
I won't be here for that one.
Okay, folks, we want to thank you so much for watching this really long podcast. If you are still here, that is incredible. And hopefully maybe Drew can cut some of this out. Probably you're not even going to hear this. Anyway, episode 26 in the books. Great time talking with you,
That's good.
Jimmy.
That flew by.
Yeah, it really did. We had a great time. Maybe we should do some more often so we don't have such, gab fest. But Please like, subscribe. Please, if you want to reach out to us for any reason, obviously you can make comments in the YouTube on the YouTube channel. But if you want to send us an email, it's Jimmy.
The MC Squared Podcast at gmail.com. The MC Squared Podcast at gmail.com. And we both actually have that on our phones.
Yeah.
So either one of us might answer. You don't know.
No,
Probably
you never know.
Andrew, because I just look at him and I'm like, maybe he'll answer that one. Because they're usually no. We appreciate anything you send in.
We really do.
And if you have suggestions for topics, if you're like, man, I watched you guys. You told me to watch, told me to subscribe, and I got squat out of that. Give us a topic. We'll do one for you. We'll do one for you. I swear.
Yeah. Unless it's a cooking show, that's not going to go well. So.
Yeah. No baked cookies.
No baked cookies. Now I can do an egg. That's all for now, folks. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
See ya.
I got a fire in me. You're gonna set to burn.